This is Ryan Abraham and Dan Weber, USCFootball.com. Instant analysis here inside of Heritage Hall. We just saw practice out at Howard Jones Field. Started a little early today, Dan. No class today for the players. It's a rivalry week game, but of course Thanksgiving's tomorrow. So they had an earlier practice. They kind of cut it a little short today.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they got into it really well. I thought this was a really good practice. I thought they were upbeat. We got hit with the wind toward the end there, and it got really brisk. But they really seem to be enjoying practice, and that's kind of neat to watch. I mean, they a lot of teams, like they're doing, say, kickoff coverage today, and they're just flying around out there, and they just seem to really enjoy all those parts of practice. And I think at first we weren't sure they'd come off the field laughing and having fun and all that, and you think, but these guys just really like to practice, and I think it's paying off. I mean, I think it's clear that the turnaround happened on the practice field. Clay was just talking about that. The preparation for Utah was the week he said, okay, we're going to be okay. I mean, he thought it was terrible that they lost that game, but they'd figured out how to practice, and said we just have to sell them on, if you prepare like this every week, we'll be fine. Turns out he was right.
Yeah, I want to bring that up real quick before we get into the rest of practice, because after that game, obviously a disappointing loss, the way he was talking about it, you're like, it didn't sound like he knew what he was talking about. Like, he talked about how great everything was, and it was like, you just lost this game, you're 1-3, but he meant it, and you could tell, because now they're playing the way that he saw them prepare for Utah, even though they lost the game.
Yeah, that was great coaching. I mean, really, for those who wondered about Clay not having been a head coach, he talked about that today too, the kind of thing, because we were, the question was, these kids that are seniors playing their last game at the Coliseum have played for 4 different head coaches, and I mentioned to Clay that 3 of those guys were you. I mean, you were you were one of the 4, but you coached them 3 different times.
Yeah.
You coached them at Las Vegas, picked them up last year, and then for real this year, and talked about all the things he's learned, as a coach. And the first thing he said was poise and not panicking.
Yeah.
And I think that really talks about this year.
For, it's the last week of the regular season. You'd figure the team's kind of banged up, but really relatively healthy right now for USC.
Yeah, they got Juju back. Stevie's out there. I was kidding Stevie because he said, I'm taking off the knee brace this week. I've had it on too. He still had it on today. I said, what about the knee brace? I said, they tell you had? No, he said, it's coming off tomorrow. No more knee brace. So, and he's having a good time. I guess Stevie said, because he said he promised Kenichi Udeze he wouldn't eat too much tomorrow, but then he told us, he said, my mom's coming in, my family coming in tonight, and he said, when mom's in town, you eat a lot. So Kenichi said, well, we'll just sort of accept that.
Yeah, they're going to have an early practice on Thursday tomorrow, and defensive players were available today. Anything else interesting? I know you got to talk to some of the guys out there.
Stevie's the most fun. He was talking about, it's weird, he's going to have senior day tomorrow, or Saturday, and he said, I haven't been here long enough. I haven't played enough games at the Coliseum. He also talked about he's been talking to his guys back in Utah, and he said, they're telling me they're going to take care of it for us. So he said, we'll owe them. But so he's pretty upbeat. Trying to think who else was. I think Kenichi. We got to talk to Kenichi Udeze more today than at any time this year, and I thought he talked about how the process is working. That it's just taken a while. Like a guy like Rasheem Green, he said he's so much better than the guys he's playing in high school. He doesn't have to worry about technique. Doesn't have to worry about hand placement or whatever. He said that takes a while for these guys, to get to the point where you do it right every single time. He said they're getting to that point where, a guy like Rasheem just grades out, is starting to grade out really well. But he said it takes that process takes some time for this group.
The group of seniors you talked about a little bit, but they have a chance to go undefeated at home. And Clay Helton said, as far as this month of November goes, that the 7 years he's been here, they're playing as well in all phases of the game all together than he's really seen.
Yeah, I think, and they really are tuned into what he's saying and tuned into practicing right and playing right. And when you talk to somebody like Adoree, about the last game of the Coliseum, he said, what you want to do is give people something to remember you by, but just for this game this year, and help this team. You know, if we don't get to the championship game, we get to a really good bowl game. But you know, with the thought that it really is important how they finish Saturday. I mean, that's everything. You know, you win the previous 7, but you got to win that 8th for this team to finish the way they want. And they really do seem like they're focused in on Notre Dame and not a whole lot of other thoughts right now.
One last one for you. Talk about finishing, maybe finishing his career in the Coliseum on Saturday. Could be Adoree Jackson, but I know Shotgun got to talk to him extensively. You talked to him a little bit at the end. Sounds like he's keeping the door open as not, you know, maybe coming back for a senior year.
Yeah, he said, don't want to think this. He said, I'm not thinking about that kind of thought at all. He said, my thoughts process about, you know, the last this or what's coming next is really limited to, you know, this game, this week, this season, you know, where we end up, you know, after this. But he said, I'm just not thinking about any of those other thoughts at this point.
Yeah, so Juju and Adoree keeping the door open. Yesterday, Juju said 50-50. Adoree keeping it open today. So who knows? Most people expect those guys to go pro, but we will see. All right, well, a good day of preparation for USC Notre Dame. That's Dan Weber. I'm Ryan Abraham. Check out uscfootball.com for more.